Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and
It's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
let's go.
Hello,
Good afternoon.
how are you?
Very well.
Yeah?
Yes. Let's see.
How's your day been?
It's been a busy day. It's been a good day. We're finishing up a couple new pieces at the workshop, so I'm excited about that.
That's really
'Cause,
cool.
Yeah, came through that, and we're getting it done. So it's good. Feels
Great.
right.
Yeah, feels right.
What about you?
I'm good. I'm surprised that I'm bounced back into the routine so quickly. I was in New York yesterday. All of a sudden I'm a bi-coastal babe. I didn't know that I had the idea and I was like maybe I could do that, but the amount that I've traveled this in the past 5 months is insane.
It's insane, huh?
actually. Yeah. But it was a great trip. I had a really, really good time. I got to visit my boyfriend, obviously. That's why I was there.
The big reason why you go to
It's like the reason why I go to New York.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good. It was great. It was really nice to
But
see
do
him.
tell, what did you do in New York, though?
Oh, okay. I went to New York Comic Con. It was a new experience for me. It was eye-opening. It was a world that I'm not involved in at all, and so it kind of felt like I was a spectator, just sort of like going through and checking things out. I was a little overwhelmed. It's so many people, and it's so many people that are really specifically obsessed with something that I know nothing about. And whether it's comics, whether it's a specific movie or some kind of IP, and I don't have that. There was nothing there that's something that I'm really like obsessed with, that I'm really into. And I had a conversation with my boyfriend about it because he in what he does for work, like he has to sort of have a finger on the pulse of these things. And he's like very successful at it. It was really cool. He kept getting noticed. Like people would come up to me like, "Oh my God, are you?" I'm not going to say his name. Like, "Oh my God, are you so and so?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, man!" Like taking pictures with people. It was really cool. And like I got to, I don't know. I see people like sort of fan out over him sometimes, but it was really cool to like be present and
Be
like
in
see
the
that.
middle
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. But in that we are so different because that's just not my world. But I'm open to it. I'm open to a lot of new things. I will say that I don't think I need to ever do that again. Again, like no negative judgment.
Right. No, it's a different world.
Just to know that something is not necessarily for me,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But you know what is for me that I discovered while I was in New York? The WNBA.
That's exciting.
Dude, I have never been to a WNBA game before. I don't think that I've actually been to a women's sports game maybe ever in my life, like professional women's sports. I don't go to a lot of sports games anyway. I think the last basketball game that I went to was probably 9-10 years ago, somewhere around there. I went to a Dodgers game maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but I haven't been to one in a while. I went to the WNBA finals game. This was a big deal. I was obviously repping the New York Liberty, of course, because it's Johnny's team now, but also they are amazing. These women are so talented and skilled and impressive and hardcore and just rad. Like I've never been to anything that had that same amount of energy. Also, the amount of people that were in the stadium, in this arena at the Barclays Center, like the whole thing looked full.
I mean, it's nice to have women's sport because I saw it from here, from the feeds, the news, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I know.
It felt like, it felt like such an incredible win. And there was something in me, like, I'm not an athlete in that way. I played basketball when I was in the 8th grade, and I was so bad at it that I wasn't even allowed to try out for the freshman year team. I was pulled aside by the coach saying, we technically wouldn't be able to cut you because it's the freshman team, but I'm going to suggest maybe you try something else. But as a 6 foot tall broad, right? Even at that time, I was 6 feet tall. You would assume that I would be an athlete, right? But I'm normally like, that was just not my field. But to see women who are also like my height and taller, who are strong, who are they're so good. And I think that's something that I was really missing. And I didn't realize that it was something that I didn't see enough of, but it really inspired me. And now I'm like, I wonder if I could. I haven't played basketball since I was like in the 8th grade.
No.
Let me have another hobby. No, I just want to see. I just haven't even held a basketball. Like, I think it would be kind of cool. Like, it inspired me to like, oh, I wonder what it feels like to try to shoot a basket. I know that I have never made one.
I don't think I have either, but
Okay.
I'm a short French guy, so
I can't imagine you. I feel like if we went 1-on-1,
you would probably win.
would I?
There's a good chance you would, yeah. Basketball, yeah.
I don't know. I would just be in your face.
Well, it's
It'd just be up here.
that's
the only
all
thing that I was.
I can't dribble. I can't.
It's the only thing I was allowed to do when I played basketball in like middle school, right? Because I was so bad at it. They're like, stand under the basket and put your arms up. And if the ball comes near your hands, just grab it and then give it to somebody else. That was all. Like, that's what they told me. Like, I couldn't run. Not very good. I couldn't shoot anything. When it came to blocking, I fouled out like a handful of times because I was just big. I was just in the way, And I would just, yeah. Anyway.
And now look at you. You're a strong yoga instructor.
Yeah.
So see,
so much
we all
more
have
graceful.
to find.
Yes.
We all have to find our field.
Yes. A non-competitive sport. But here's the thing about going to that game that was really eye-opening for me is how incredibly good it felt when they won. I was there, like, watching everybody throughout the whole thing. Like, I know that men do this all the time. I think that this is like a boy thing, and also people who love sports. I'm new to it, so it was just like a cool experience. But especially because it was women, especially because like the MVP player, I was cheering her on the entire game. She's so cool. She's amazing. I don't know. I am now a big fan of the WNBA, and my boyfriend just got season tickets for next season.
Wow.
So I have more reason to be a bi-coastal babe. I have to go to games more. Those are the rules.
Those are the rules. I think it's fantastic that this summer we had, with the Olympics, I discovered like women's rugby. For example, where they were like so incredible athletes. They were so good. Obviously women's soccer, that's been on the map for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing, a huge, women's basketball is starting to be popular and picking up a huge amount of steam. The women's final
viewership is up 200% or something. It makes sense. It's such a great game. And why aren't women treated the same way as men? We could open up a can of worms.
Well, we can, but the bottom line is that it's slow.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. And I know that sometimes it feels like 2 steps forward and 1 backward sometimes but at least it's getting there.
Yeah.
And I can see it from when I was a kid where, women's, there was maybe tennis.
Yeah.
When, Chris Evert, and that was probably the only sport that actually you watched. Now it's like you have rugby, you have soccer, you have, basketball is getting used.
I think rugby needs to be on more. I would watch women's rugby year round.
In sports that are a little bit more violent, but UFC, the women's UFCs.
That I can't do.
No, but they are stars.
Yes, there are.
Incredible athletes.
Incredible athletes.
And I think it's also showing I mean, as far as what I love is that it's showing all those, strong women, athlete, and a vision of women that are like, yeah, they are athletes, they're strong, strength
Yeah.
is good. So it's,
Speaking of women, we've had some incredibly strong women
I know.
guests so far on the show. I think especially the ones that we've been recording lately, I think that our last like 5 guests have been some of the most badass women that I am so in awe of. And even just to like share a couch, to be the one to interview them, I'm just like,
it's cool.
I'm so impressed. I aspire to be anything like these women. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are just women that you just know through the industry that you've known for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've known pretty much all of them for quite some time. And I mean, look, I think that, women are in general are brilliant, and we're lucky to have those women show up and talk to us because they are really badass.
Yeah. Really
And
badass.
there's more coming. I mean,
So many.
we have a few that are lined up that are just, but it's, and I don't know how to translate it because they are incredibly talented, smart, hardworking businesswomen who are, creative, and and it's nice because I mean, obviously, it's nice to see you interview and lead that, and in at Kimberly Diamond Studio, and women-owned company. I think that
Yeah.
is just freaking fantastic.
How does it feel to be in the minority?
There's one thing I've always loved it. I have a daughter who
Yeah.
is very strong. She has a girlfriend who is very strong. So I do love, smart, strong, assertive, independent. If they want to be women, I think that I have a lot of respect for that, and it's something that I don't have an issue with.
That's great. You're such a girl dad. I love that.
I am a girl dad. I had to. I had one, and it's like she taught me well. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's very neat.
Nice. Okay. Do you have homework for me today?
So we've done some designers. We've done interior design. We've had Melanie as an artist. And I was starting to think about how our field is multifaceted with the showrooms, the architect, the furniture designer, furniture maker, the artist. And so today, I'm trying to figure out how to approach every different field. So today I was perusing the bookcase over there, and I was like, oh, we should talk about a collector.
Ooh.
So of course, I chose. I mean, there's been through history a few real collectors that have changed the art world and changed the interior design and changed, I've had a major impact. Karl Lagerfeld was one, Hubert de Givenchy was another one. And if you go back to obviously the mid 20th century, there were people that made like the Lord de Noailles was like a big French collector. They've promoted artists, they promoted interior designers like Jean-Michel Franck, and so this one is by Pierre Berger.
Wow.
Once you go through it, it's like it's a dream in terms of location, it's a dream in terms of periods, it's a dream in terms of artists. They were just the best, and possibly the last one for a while that had such an impact on the art world and our world in general.
Wow.
So it's I don't know. You can dream. You can read this book and dream.
Yeah. I'm going to listen. First, this book is heavy. So I don't know how this is going to look on camera, but I'm going to put it on my lap. So these are all different.
Their homes. So there's
Different
Paris.
homes.
There's the home in, I think was it Casablanca, I think, or So they're different homes, but it's pretty much the best of the best of every country, every period. But they also discovered or put on, like the Lalanne or sculptures in France. They kind of put them on the map. They collected, Eileen Gray. They collected all those people. They promoted a certain art de vivre taste that's just impeccable.
Wow.
And it was probably, their passion. And so it's, it's a book that you can look at and kind of dream. Or at least it
Yes.
makes me dream.
Yes. No, this has me dreaming for sure. It's one thing to collect art. It is another thing to know what to do with it when you have it. This is my favorite. This is it. This is it. My
Yeah.
favorite home at Yves Saint Laurent. I would like to visit this
Yeah.
place. But the thing that I'm noticing so much throughout this is the beautiful placement of everything in these homes. Every single detail is so intentional, and there are so many things in the space. But each one of those having a story is such a beautiful way to turn a home into something
that's
to be showcased.
That's the power of a relationship with one interior designer. A couple art collectors, one interior designers at Grands, and that's the trust that they had with each other.
Yeah.
And the power of longevity, because it's impeccable.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's something to, at every level, for, any collector or client to just, be able to work with their interior designers and achieve, in everybody's taste. And obviously the budget for those houses was extraordinary, but I think it's something to look at and aim towards, I guess.
Yeah. When what you were doing is primarily antique stealing, did you have anything that was your inspiration for what you were going to collect, or was it just sort of what came through? Did you go out seeking for certain pieces based on?
I did. I mean, I started with, my dad is a very good 18th century furniture dealer, French. So, for him, it was hunting for pieces that had a provenance, or, that were Parisian made. And, I learned all those details, all those skills, all those, why a bronze is better than the other. I mean, there's, in antiques, if you go in, to an auction or to a flea market, or, you hunt for the better piece, the one that has a little bit of the better quality. That's what you aim for in that, and make sure that period, that they are of the period, they are not overly restored, that they're not fake or obviously, but your eye tries to go to the piece that has a little bit of a plus, and that's been something that's been fun to do. Kimberly's very talented at that, but it's something that we try to carry, for example, in our line of trying to, that the finish is a little bit better, or there's a little plus in the detail, or, the back looks great.
That everything
or
is
the
intentional.
proportion, everything is intentional. The proportion is good. We're both sticklers on proportion, for example.
Yeah.
Comfort, sometimes in antiques, you don't get that. You don't get the comfortable seat, but yeah,
is that
you try
because
to.
everyone was so much smaller than we?
I think that there's the fact that also they had big, dresses, and I think that there was a lot more about showing off than sitting and relaxing. So
Got it. So it wasn't really for comfort. It was just.
Yeah, it was a lot of it. A lot of it was, oh, look at how fancy I am. But even when you look at an 18th century armchair, for example, or that tends to be lower to the ground, a little wider.
Yeah.
For everything that was for the nobility or royal, you see that's what you hunt for.
Yeah.
The carving, the walnut, the wood is like, when it was a wood from Lyon, or a wood from, a walnut from Lyon, because that was where the forests were. You see the warmth.
Yeah.
So that's what you look for.
And actually, the last house that I just looked at was inspired by that place.
Right.
Oh, I'm putting it all together. So this book, I'm paging through it, and I'm sure that anyone who's listening to this is an audio medium, so it's impossible to describe like what it is that I'm looking at. I definitely will tag the book in the show notes, as I usually do, so that other people can take a look at it. I cannot wait to just go into my little imaginary fantasy of the home that I would love to just spend some time in. But I also wonder if some of these are available to tour.
Well, those I don't think so. I mean,
Not these, because also a few of these have been resold and
Yeah,
redone.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you know if any of the collection is on display anywhere?
they had a major auction of the collection. I don't know. I mean,
I think you
5
may have
years.
shown me that book,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
So big,
Yeah.
and so most of the pieces have been sold at auction.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, this is incredible. I'm going to dig back into this and
Yeah, and dream.
dream. So I would like to maybe move on to our guest today. Our guest today is someone that I've seen on television. That I don't know, like, it's crazy with where our podcast is at right now. We're on, what is this, episode 9? And it's one of those. It's in
One of
there.
those.
And our guest today is someone who I'm honored to have shared the sofa with. Getting to interview her, especially with her experience and everything that she's done in her career. Like,
And she keeps on going.
and she keeps going and she doesn't stop. She's never going to stop, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's
She doesn't have a pause button.
exactly.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the fear button, I guess, and
Yeah.
the pause button.
No fear, no pause. She just
No
goes.
pause.
Oh, I admire that so much. So, yeah, what do you think? We should get to her?
Let's go.
All right.
See you in a bit.
Welcome to Clutter Bravado. We are here with Jennifer Farrell.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here in the most beautiful studio in the world.
Oh, right. So the Kimberly Denman studio. It's stunning here. Beautiful furniture everywhere, obviously.
Beautiful,
Peaceful.
beautiful
Yes.
furniture, beautiful people. It's really lovely here.
Speaking of beautiful people, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome because I'm the host. I'm like, lead host, sort of co-host, but lead host
Not sort of.
of Clutter Bravado, and you are an actual TV host.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and you do this all the time, so you're very good at it, and I'm very new to it. So I'm excited to learn from you, not only in your experience as a designer, but also your experience as a TV host. So if you have any notes, I'm happy to receive them.
Well, you've already got good lighting figured out, which is very important.
thank you.
We
Thank you.
want that light to just bathe over us.
That natural light coming from outside, I love
Yes,
it.
right
Yes.
in my face, not on my side. Not trying to look moody and wrinkled.
No, not at all. Okay, so I want to ask you first. So just to go into what you do. So you, yes, are a TV host, primarily in the design space, but not exclusively, also in real estate.
I have been hosting and designing on TV now for 21 years.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. And I imagine that takes so much balance. My biggest question for you and where I kind of want to get started today is how do you create that balance between being a TV personality and also being a designer? Because sometimes it's not as glamorous as what is portrayed on TV.
Well, I think that is very true. I got my start just being in the right place at the right time with the right skill set.
Nice.
Because this was a long time ago before the home makeover shows had really taken off. And I kind of hit the ground running. I'd opened my design firm, Jennifer Farrell Designs, in 2001. And by 2003, I was a series regular on a show called Merge. And it was
wow.
really when those shows were just first taking off and kind of exploding. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and could, walk and chew gum and design at the same time. So it was good timing.
Yeah.
And, I've never really had the two sides of my business of like the television side and then the design side have often not necessarily supported each other. I've learned how to have that happen in latter years as I've sort of rebuilt my business model into a triangle. But
Okay.
At first, when I was hosting these shows, my clients would get so mad. And they'd be like, okay, first of all, why are you in Tennessee when you should be here in Santa Monica?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Second of all, why are you doing an entire room for the same price as my side table cost? It's like, okay, this is TV. It's not, that's not really real life because, yes, I can do a room for $1,200 when I'm shopping at flea markets and garage sales. But when we're building a custom piece of furniture for you, it's not going to be $50. So, it was it's sort of an interesting journey at the beginning to have clients understand that sometimes I would have to step away and have a junior designer or somebody else in the firm handling their project, and that hasn't always gone super well, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big question that I have, because there has to be some tension there and some problem solving that it really takes to be able to manage all of those things. So what is an example of a struggle that you've had specifically with a client?
Well, I think one of the challenges of being eponymous is that if you name it after yourself, then people are looking for Jennifer Farrell. They're not looking for Jennifer Farrell's friend.
Yes.
And so that is sometimes it has been a bit of a challenge over the years, that when I'm teaming with a client, which I understand, they're investing a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of faith. You really have to have a rapport with a client for them to trust you as you're tearing their home apart and telling them how to live. So I think...
What a way to word that, actually. Tearing their home apart and telling them how to live.
And you have to do that with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And, you're aware, we know everything about our clients. I know where they keep their underwear.
Yeah.
So I know what underwear they wear. You're literally going through their underwear drawer. So you get to know them very, very intimately. And I have found over time, a client never really goes away. Once you have a client, they think of you as an extended part of the family, and their project is eternal. It's even if it's done, I had a client call me that I had done her living room 15 years earlier, and she was asking me about the carpet color. And I was like, we had carpet in there? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So you have these long relationships with clients. And when you're establishing that kind of rapport where it's built on trust and the company's named after you, it is very difficult. Even with the most brilliant and capable of designers, it is difficult to hand off and transition to someone else managing the project.
Yeah.
So kind of what I have learned over time when it comes to private clients, and it's different with my brand partnerships, but with clients, what I have learned is to have them manage time expectations from me. I'm very honest and transparent. And I say, I'm going to be shooting for this much time, and I'm going to be going to these events, and I'm going to be speaking at these things. So if we're going to work together, we've got to understand my timeline, because I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
And so I give clients all the out in the world. If they want to say, oh, that's going to be too much for me, I give them that chance so that we all have the same expectations.
Yeah. So how many clients are you working with at a time, especially if you have a busy shooting schedule?
Oh, well, and that's the other thing that I have learned over the years. There would be times when I would be running 16 active projects. And that was a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I did survive all of them, but
Yeah.
I would not recommend that again. And I don't do that anymore. I'm much more selective. I have to be very aware, especially now because I'm so much in the world of product and collections now that the time just isn't there. And so there have been times when I was running 12 to 16 projects, and really it just meant I never slept.
Yeah.
And so it was a little too much, and I just always had this harried look about me. So
Yeah, and you
try not to do
need
that anymore.
sleep. There are certain things that you need to balance your day to day. So what is something that you do in order to keep yourself grounded through all of the things that you're doing?
I have an amazing husband.
Yeah.
Mark is wonderful. You know him. He's
I think we
lovely.
met. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have an amazing husband. I have amazing stepdaughters. Everyone in my family is so supportive. My parents are amazing. I think having a grounded set of wonderful support people in your life is the key. My friends are phenomenal. And my friends, a lot of my friends, actually. I have some very successful friends who are very busy and doing incredible things, but they all take the time out to be supportive, to be connected. We make sure that we do double dates and we have time, just hanging out, drinking wine. Those moments of personal support, that's how you stay sane, and that's how I can kind of do everything, is because my support system is amazing.
Yeah. Would you say that you have a daily routine?
I would say that I would be lying, because every day is really different for me because,
Yeah.
it really, and even in one day, I can be doing, we're doing a bunch of marketing this morning, and then I'm here with you now, and then I'm off to the races right after. And so each day is very different because if I'm filming or if I'm speaking or if I'm designing, and, not one day is the same. I think if there's any routine I have that I really cherish, it is that if I am in town, my husband makes me a latte every morning. And
That's so cute.
It is so
I
cute.
love that.
Yes, it is great.
I hope he brings it to you in bed, right?
If I am still in bed, he will bring it to me in bed.
Those husbands that, they score so many points.
Yes. Well, he's been scoring that for 10 years. He's been bringing me
love it.
every day.
Shout out.
But then again, you know what? I make his lunch for work every day.
Ooh.
If I'm in town.
If you're in
So
town,
if I'm
if you're
in
in
town.
town.
So, I make his lunch and pack it when he goes
That's
to work.
so sweet.
But those
Yeah.
are the moments where,
That's
again, you feel
necessary.
really supported. You feel connected. It gives us a chance just to sit, even though sometimes, I'll be on my phone texting because, I'm working
course.
now
Yeah.
in all different time zones. And so sometimes everyone's like, hey, you haven't answered. It's like, well, it's 4 a.m. No, I haven't answered yet. But I think that would really be the only routine that is a daily commitment is every day.
Talking about that, I have a question. We're in this industry where clients are on the weekends, they're at home, they think that that's when you're supposed to text your designer. Do you answer those texts on the weekend? You do?
I do.
You're-
Much to the chagrin of said husband. But, we are in an era where you can make a choice. You can say, I work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or you can say, I am a 24/7 commodity. I'm a 24/7 commodity.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
I work 6.5 days a week. So I cannot pretend to make it all look easy. It is work. I
Yeah.
work. And I love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
So if it's Sunday, I might be designing in my pajamas while watching the football game and a mimosa in my hands, but I'm still doing my work. And so, for what I do, I don't really shut that phone off very often because sometimes it might be the CEO of a major corporation that I'm partners with who's sending me a text at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I want everyone that I work with to understand, and that does not mean everybody start texting at 6 in the morning. But I do want the people that I work with to understand that I am committed to them, whether that's a private client or a major corporation or a brand partner. I am committed, and I've learned how to not overextend myself so that commitment stays solid. And so that way they know, hey, I need something from Jennifer. I might be standing up on stage speaking, but I will still at some point look down and go blah, 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 and answer the question so that all of my partners, whatever form they come in, they feel that connection and support from me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
For me, you send me a fax.
Laurent, you may be the only person alive who still has a fax machine.
I'm kidding. I got rid of mine, but this morning I thought that maybe reintroducing the fax machine would be just lovely instead of the 18 emails I received. Just send me a fax.
just send me a
I'm
fax.
going to get it back.
That sounds like a plan. I'm going to take that one.
So, from what you're talking about being a 24-hour, a commodity, you need a team in order to do that.
Yes.
So what does your team look like? We've talked about your family, how you have your husband and you have your kids. And so when it comes to hiring people on, do you expect the same of them?
No.
Okay.
So and I'm actually speaking about this next week in Boston. It's my triangular business model.
Okay.
So my particular brand has 3 parts. There's 3 parts of my business. One is design. I have an interior design firm. I create product designs. The other side is my public figure side. I have TV shows. I make public appearances. Where those two used to not always support each other, now they come together at the apex of the triangle, which is my brand partnerships. That is my design show homes. That is my collaborations and collections with wonderful brands like Global Views. So now those two sides come together. So I have a 3-part structure for my business of a triangle model. And so now those kind of lean into each other. So each of the corners supports each other. So the pressure points that's what's great about a triangle, is those pressure points can actually strengthen the business. What I have learned is to diversify and focus your talent, because there really only needs to be one circus master, and that's me. And so I have very focused teams in each of those three corners that don't overlap.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, and I've actually spoken with some other very successful name brand designers who have said essentially the same thing. They said, oh, this person does this.
Right.
We don't ever bring them over to here. That's going to muddy the waters, because it is really hard to do any job well. Let's be honest. It's hard to do any job well.
Yeah.
But if you're focused on marketing for the show home and the brand partnerships, we don't need to start dragging you over to my TV shows and be marketing for what I'm doing with $1 Million House Hunters. That, let's not confuse that, because then you dilute the talent. So I have learned, I have people focused on, literally just focused on the design side. They don't even know what I'm doing on some of the other parts of this triangle. People who are focused only on my TV side. They're like, oh yeah, you're a designer, right? So we keep everything very focused on the talent, because it really is too much to expect anyone who's not the owner of the company. It's a lot to expect them to really know all the inner workings of all three parts.
Okay. Then you are a brilliant master. Because how you can keep all of those things fully organized in your own mind, and or at least having one touch person for each area of that triangle of your business. I think that's really brilliant. It takes a lot.
Well, or brilliant or crazy. We're not sure. But
There's a fine line between those, and I think that line blurs.
in the design world, that line blurs all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you also have a handful of really cool things coming up, but there's one specifically that I want to talk about, and that is Ice House.
Yes.
Tell me all about it.
Okay, we just rolled out the social media campaign and the newsletters and the email blasts and our website and magazine coverage all happened today. Had a big announcement video, so our timing was sort of fantastical. But Ice House is ICE, interconnected, changeable environments. So the concept behind Ice House, which will be my design show home, the concept behind it is it's based in sustainability, adaptability, livability. And the idea is that you never have to change your home. Your home changes with you. So it consists of three separate environments. We have I, which is Indie House. C is Center House. E is Extension House. And they are interconnected with these glass and steel breezeways that can open and close to become rooms in themselves. So you could live in as little as 300 square feet or as much as 5,000 square feet. This could be one home, two homes, three homes. Each of the spaces changes and shrinks and grows to adapt with you. And in telling the story of Ice House, we actually rolled out a 60-year journey. So you could really understand in year one, you're the new homeowner and you're young and spry. You're moving into Center House, but you're renting out Indie House to help pay your new mortgage. And Extension House is for your family to come stay. And 10 years later, where's the story then? Oh, well, you're married. So now you're living in Center House, but you've got yoga studio in an Indie House and your home offices are in Extension House. And we follow the journey all the way through your 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 as you have kids, and then the kids go away, and then now you're retired, and by you're 60, then you're living in Center House, your caregiver is living in Indie House, and then your best friends are living in Extension House. So you have your golden years commune. So we told this whole story, and we've released some of the concept imagery. And then today we unveiled the video, just showing a bit of a teaser of me in France, where we have unveiled the location. Now, why France, you say?
Yeah.
Monsieur Laurent, pourquoi?
Why France? Please tell us.
Okay, I will tell you, and I'll tell you the honest answer. So the conceptual answer is that I'm wanting to tell a story about the global culture of design, and how the global culture of design is also very personal and very intimate. So even though we have a global experience in the design community, there is a sense of worldliness, but there's also a sense of very personal contact. That is the story of design. And that's also a story I'll be telling with Global Views, because I've got some collections which we'll talk about that are rolling out next year. But they really are a brand about the experience of global culture and how that affects design and what stories we tell as designers. So I wanted an experience that had a global feel, something resting in heritage. The aesthetic of Ice House is intended to be very ancient meets very modern. And so when I had created the concept renderings, I had created these 3 very ancient stone farmhouses, all modernized with steel and glass. And so then here's the honest answer part of this. That's the conceptual answer.
Okay.
The honest answer is I then quietly spent a year looking around in the Santa Monica Mountains area. I had just finished Calaboo Vineyard, which was my previous show home. It was in the Santa Monica Mountains. My show home before that was Wolf Peak, also in the Santa Monica Mountains. Such a beautiful area.
Yeah.
And there's really a lot to tell about the natural surroundings there and how they influence the property and the design. And so I wanted that to be a component again. And I could not find anything that was remotely going to work for what I was trying to build.
Yeah.
And then I had been threatening for years to do a show home in France. I'd been saying it, I keep saying it. And then after this one, I'm going to do a show home in France. And then one morning, it just kind of all clicked into place. Why am I trying to fabricate 3 buildings that look like ancient European stone farmhouses? Why don't I go buy 3 ancient European stone farmhouses and not do a France project later, make it happen now so that it becomes a destination show home experience for the US A&D community. So this is really designed for our American and American adjacent design community so that they can experience this global culture, the story of the global culture of design, and it can be shared around the world with design enthusiasts who are going to be following this on social media and with our newsletters and website. And we'll have lots of magazine spreads. It's in 2 magazines today. So lots of fun rollouts. So this will be ongoing for 2 years where we have we're shooting a mini series for it, and we'll shoot lots of videography and lots of photography. And then it all culminates in 2026 with the physical grand opening of the project, where we will have quite a few designers from the American design build A&D community joining us at the VIP reveal party. So that's why we're there. Yes,
We'll be there.
you two are on the guest list.
What I can't wait is the video where the French guy is like, it's not straight. It's not straight. I mean, it's kind of straight. Did you really need to be straight, Jennifer? You're such American.
He thinks he's being funny, but I guarantee
exactly
I'm going to have that exact video.
I'm not. Just call me. You can call me any time of the night. I'll try to translate the cultural.
Thank you. Merci, monsieur.
Yes, and the maybe also the 24/7 culture. You might want to just make sure that they might be on the still 8 hour over there, but
I mean 8 hours, 6 hour.
Something like that.
As I said, we have to manage our expectations about time.
Exactly.
So I will manage mine as well.
Fun, so it's gonna be so much fun.
Is there anything that scares you about this project?
Probably should have things that scare me,
Yeah.
but no. My language skills are mediocre.
Okay.
I mean, Laurent knows my French is not good. So
Yeah, it's pretty good though. It's plenty good.
it's enough to get
impressed.
me in trouble, but it's not great. So I do need to work on my French more. And we will be collaborating both with French artisans and builders as well as American ones. And I have partnerships with different councils here that we will bring some of their brightest and best over to France so that we can also have this be an educational experience as well, where they'll be able to shoot educational videos when we're doing these really high-end installations. There's a lot you can learn from the best of the best, and we don't have a lot of opportunity for capturing those moments. And so this is a great test lab of sorts to be able to do that. So I think communication is maybe one of the things that I should be a little more scared about, but I also never really inherited the fear button.
That's what I'm sort of learning about you. That I mean, you already exude a lot of confidence, and you have so much knowledge of the industry, and you present yourself to the world as someone who knows what they're talking about.
Whether
And
or not I do.
But I feel like because you are able to do that, you can step into this place where, oh yes, I'm able to access all of the expertise that I really have. I think that's something that I really admire.
Thank
actually.
you. Well, we
Yeah.
will be putting it to the test for sure. But I have a decent amount of time on this because we don't open until 2026.
Yeah.
That being said, projects can take a long time.
Yes.
So for me, I'm like, whoo, wow, it's like really fast. But I think what I have learned over time is that sometimes you just go and do and get scared about it after it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Example, I was working in northern England and I was going to be there for a while, and I brought my little dog with me. This is several years ago.
Okay.
And at the time, that was right when you could get into England without going through quarantine for your dog, but you still couldn't fly in with your dog on the plane with you. They had to go below. So I flew into France, rented a car, because France loves dogs. And so I flew in, rented a car, drove from Paris into the Channel, go up to drive from the south of England all the way to the northern part of England in the dark. Had been up for 24 hours, and this was before Waze. So there was
That's a tough drive.
I don't now have any idea how I did that. Because, England, you're driving on the
Yeah.
wrong side of the road.
Yes.
You got roundabouts everywhere, but
Yes.
you're going the other way. I have
It's
no
so scary.
idea. Now I'm like, I could never do that, but I did.
Yeah.
So I just did it and then got scared about it way afterwards.
Yeah. Like later when you're reflecting, like, oh, maybe that was crazy. of
Maybe
me.
it was crazy.
But you got to have the experience,
Yes.
and it turns out that's something you know how to do.
Drive on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
After 24 hours of being up.
Yes.
But the cultural exchange, you've got to be excited about that.
I am. I'm very excited. I've had a love affair with France all my life. I took French in high school, and I remember my French teacher coming back from her summer trip to all the chateaus she went to the Bordeaux region, and she went down to Provence, and she really, did so much of France, and she was showing all of these unbelievable photos of these castles and beautiful chateaus, and I said, okay, I'm hooked. Like that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
And I used to look back in the 90s, I would look at properties online and look at French chateaus. And this was back in the day where you remember, you could get like an old chateau to be restored for like $100,000. I mean, those days are gone.
Yeah.
But I was like, how am I going to get $100,000 and I'm going to buy one of these and I'm going to fix it up? So I've always had this concept cooking in my brain of doing something in France. And I've loved the country. I've been there so many times. It hasn't improved my French that much, but it will now. But the other thing that has been cooking in my brain for decades now is the concept of multi-structure adaptable living.
Yeah.
I do see this as the home of the future that we're creating at Ice House. And I've talked with my girlfriends about it over the years. We've said, at some point I'm just going to buy a commune, and when we're all old and gray, we're going to live there, whether the husbands are still alive or not. We'll all just be together like the Golden Girls.
Like the Golden Girls, yes.
And, that has stuck in my mind for a very long time. And so now I'm sort of bringing all my favorite things together and all the things that I've learned from my previous show home experiences. What we created, really, Calibu Vineyard was sort of the pinnacle of my show home journey. And we created the 7,300 square foot, 19 room estate with this modern Montauk inspired interior on a working vineyard. And I mean, that project was so huge, but even bigger was the marketing experience that we brought for our project partners. I bring in the finest of luxury brands to showcase their wares, all under a Jennifer Farrell design. So it's not like a typical show home. And we create 2 years of marketing deliverables and media assets that it's really the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, we just had one of our partners doing a whole post about Calibu Vineyard this week and, sharing their, 11 Ravens, their beautiful gaming tables. They were sharing the ping pong table that was there because it was just on Selling Sunset. And so, the ping pong table is now more famous than I am. But the journey of the marketing deliverables, like what we learned from Calibu Vineyard, really is taking us into Ice House. So I feel like Ice House is a culmination of so many things that I've learned and built over the last 23 years of my career.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I also I'm really intrigued by that idea of having these structures that sort of grow with you, that you're able to use in a lot of different ways. And I also, I mean, I love the idea of having my own yoga studio at home. But yeah, that's really interesting. I'm so excited to see how this progresses, and I'll
So am
stay
I.
really close to it. Yeah. So there are 3 questions that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
And I have not told you the questions ahead of time.
You have not.
Okay.
I do not know the questions,
No.
which may mean I will not know the answers. We'll find out.
No, it's great. It's honestly just like, so Clutter Bravado, we have the name Clutter Bravado because there is a beautiful facade to the entire design industry, but there's also the challenges and the struggles underneath. And that's what I'm really curious about personally. As someone who's just now getting into the industry and learning about it, I come from a place of storytelling and of performance, especially digging into the vulnerability that all of us have within us that a lot of times we're afraid to access when it comes to our art. But design is art. And so I'm curious to know a little bit about it. So they're not too personal, don't fret. And if you need to lie, you can.
Okay. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Okay, very easy. The first question: what is the messiest place in your home?
Oh, my closets. Always.
Yeah?
I mean, hands down, if you walk into any of my homes that I've ever had, they will look like no one lives there. But I mean, even my husband says it looks like a museum in here. You open a closet, there are dead bodies inside. And so I will never get hired to be a closet organizer.
Got it.
No one's going to give me that job, which is why we're very grateful to have wonderful closet partners
There we
who
go.
can keep all
Yes.
my things hidden for me.
Oh, that's
Wow.
great. That's great.
Don't open the drawers, Laurent.
Don't open
the drawers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know it's one of my big fear here, because I obviously open up my home and I'm like, someone is going to open up that closet one day and it's going to just not be good. So I try, but yeah, I hear you. But
I don't like go snooping around in your closets or anything, but I don't think I've seen anything messy in here.
I'm
I
trying
spend
very,
all the
very
time
hard, but there are days where I'm like, thank God no one's coming today. It's like overflows.
Okay, so closets. I love that answer. That's great. I'm about to clean out my closet this week, so it's very exciting. Second question. What is the first thing that you notice when you walk into a new space? Whether it's a new like a home that you're going to be working with, or even when you walked in here today, what's the first thing that you notice?
I always look at surfaces. A lot of my business is in the surfaces world. A lot of my partnerships are. I have tile collections. Tile for me is like candy. I just love to be around tile. I love to see what designers are doing with tile, how they're thinking, where they're putting it, why they make choices. So I can be like in a gas station bathroom, I'll be looking for the tile.
Yeah.
And so that for me, it's surfaces. It's like first thing I notice is like what's on your floors, what's on your ceiling, what's on your walls. Like I am a surfaces junkie and aficionado at the same time. So that's always the first thing that I'm looking at is and true with clients too, what surfaces am I working with and what surfaces are we keeping? And because, everything else can sort of adapt around those, but this is something I do try to stress with designers. You cannot put a sofa in a room without surfaces. There's going to be a floor, 4 walls, and a ceiling most likely, maybe even more. You have to think about the surfaces as the primary background for anything you bring into it. And a lot of designers don't look at surface materials that way. I quiz people a lot when I'm speaking. I will ask designers, how many of you go to coverings? How many of you go to the International Surface event? Now, when I say how many of you go to KBIS, they all raise their hand. Everybody wants to see all the beautiful, shiny things that are being shown there. But a lot of industry experts and leaders do not attend these shows where you're actually seeing what's coming in the surfaces world. And what's coming in the surfaces world is going to be a lot more permanent. You know, you buy a slab of marble, it is a lot more permanent than a
Yes.
pillow.
Yes.
And so you need to know what's coming. You need to know what's going to be available to you. You need to start thinking about that as the canvas. And then we put all of these beautiful pieces on the canvas, but you've got to have the canvas right.
Yeah. Yeah. That is an answer that no one else has even touched on.
No.
No
That-
one's even.
I'm-
Yeah.
This is one of my campaigns in the
I
world. is-
like
Right.
how your brain works. You are so fun to talk to, and you're
Thank
so
you.
interesting. This is amazing. I'm very impressed.
And so in terms of how do you manage that with your clients? So you start the project, and obviously you have a broad knowledge of, you know, the surfaces, and the options are endless. You know, even to do a bathroom with, you can go crazy, you can go all, I mean, there's just, you know, marble. How do you talk to your clients? How do you do it?
Well, I think everyone has a different journey on client processing. Mine has been relatively the same for as long as I've been doing this. When I'm doing an intake with a client, it's a brand new client, hi, I'm Jennifer Farrell, so nice to meet you. I am getting them to tour me around their home, and I'm listening. I'm not really talking. I'm listening to what they're saying and how they're saying it. It's really important because, as you know, designers are part psychiatrist, they're part accountant, they're part handholder, they're part mom or dad. You know, we have all these roles that we take on just in the course of our daily relationship with a client. And I think listening and really listening to what, maybe not the words, but what they're saying is so important. So I listen very, very carefully. I don't, how can I say this? Because I want to be gentle because, again, we all have different ways of working. My motto in our firm is that we operate with gracious firmness. Gracious.
Yeah.
We are firm and confident, but you will never hear me tell a client, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's awful. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, I hate that. You might be talking about their favorite thing in the whole wide world. And you know what? I'm not designing my house. I'm designing their house. So if they love this purple elephant that's in the middle of the room, I'm going to design the most beautiful home imaginable around that purple elephant.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm listening to who they are and what makes them happy and what makes them sad and what they love and what they hate. And it's that listening that I think is really the most important thing. And never, you know, there's two kinds of designers. There's designers who design a Jennifer Farrell home, or there's designers who design the client's home and your fingerprints aren't really on it. And I think that there's a lot of projects that have my fingerprints on there. I don't need to, you know, fluff my ego with my private clients. I need my fingerprints off of it. I need it to be the best possible version of who they are, not who I am.
Yeah. That's vital. Yeah. That's
Vital. So it really
yeah.
isn't as much about talking. It's more about listening.
Yeah.
And it's about listening all the way through. And it's about operating with gracious firmness so that I am guiding them. I'm never giving them a no. I'm guiding them to a better yes.
I love that. That's very much how I operate as well. Like getting into someone's face and telling them, "Oh no, oh that's ugly." Like no, you would never do that. But at the
A
same
lot
time,
of designers do that, actually.
Maybe I can teach you French, and you can teach me graciousness from that.
I will teach
Maybe
you
we'll
gracious
do,
firmness.
we'll
Yes.
do an exchange.
I feel like it's. I've talked about this previously on a one of our episodes, but I love saying no with a smile, and it allows something to sort of like stay open, where it's like this is a no, and that this is the end of this. This is the end of this road here, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a side road over here that we can like sort of work around. And like the listening is so important. Your clients will tell you exactly everything that you need to know. Maybe not in the ways that you want to hear it, but
And maybe
they'll tell
not
you
with
it.
their
Yeah,
words.
Exactly.
It may not be
Right.
with words.
Exactly.
And a lot of times clients don't know how to articulate what it is they're trying to get to.
Yes.
That's why they have
Yes.
us here.
Yeah.
Is because they maybe can't even say it. So you've got to be a really good listener and really understand the people that you're working with. And I definitely have I've learned that I have to adapt my own personality with different clients, so that because each one has a different way to approach, even in communication. Some of them can't do phone calls, some of them can't do texts, some of them can't do emails. So you have to communicate with them in the way that they communicate. So, and although I do actually try to gracious and firmly insist that we keep communication in writing, even if it's a phone call. We follow it
Yes.
up with things in
Yes.
writing.
Yes.
Because 3 years from now, when they say, you told me that paint color was going to be orange, I can look at the email and say, actually, I said it was going to be red.
Yeah.
So, I do think that written communication is a great, even if you're not good at written communication, get better, because
Yeah.
it's a great backup for yourself and for your clients, so that we always have things in writing. Even if they still get misinterpreted, at least they're there.
Yeah, definitely. Last question that I have for you. What is your favorite space, whether it's in your home or in a home that you've worked on, or maybe in your new project?
There's a lot of, that's a tough one. And I think your favorite space changes over time.
Yeah.
I do think that one of the most fun things that I got to do was to be outside in a vineyard at Calibou Vineyard and have just sit in the vineyard. We had a
Yeah.
table, and just sit in the vineyard and drink wine and listen to music and talk
Yeah.
and look at the stars and watch sunrises. I think getting to actually be, in a working vineyard and experiencing it has nothing to do with design. It just has to do with connecting with nature. And all of my designs really incorporate the theme of modern overscaled organics. When I'm designing furniture, when I'm designing my own spaces, there's that undercurrent running. And I think for me, that makes being outdoors in a beautiful space so magical. And I
Yeah.
will say at Ice House, it is surrounded by vineyards as far as the eye can see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my
in all
gosh.
directions. And it is like an endless sea of vineyards. And the sun sets directly over the vineyard, that when you're standing there at the whole hamlet of these stone farmhouses, and you turn your back to the property, you're looking out at the sunset over the vineyards. And I think I'm going to have a lot of magic days where I've got
Yeah.
construction workers and painters, and we all just sort of take a moment to turn around and say, as my late grandmother would say, ooh, look at the pretty sunset.
Oh, that's beautiful. I have a feeling that if you're working with a lot of French people, they will be doing that already.
I hope so.
That's what I understand. Maybe I'm wrong about this.
I think that that's.
But I can imagine someone who's living in the south of France being able to see that view and then just saying, God, no, I've got work to do.
Stupid sunset.
Yeah. I'm so excited for you. And also it is
you.
such a pleasure to have have you here and to share your experience with us. And I definitely look up to you, because what you're doing is what I want to be doing. So maybe at some point, yes, like we'll have another talk. We'll get a coffee or something.
course we
You're
will.
amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
I thank you both for having me here
Yeah.
at the lovely Kimberly Denman studio. It's so beautiful here. So thank you
So
for
lastly,
inviting me.
one last thing. So you have this project coming up. Is there anything else that we should look out for?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am so excited. I partnered with Global Views. We had the big announcement at Spring High Point this year. I am creating Jennifer Farrell for Global Views with them. It's a 20 category collection of furniture, lighting, art, rugs, decor. It is a Jennifer Farrell universe. So now you're all going to get to see inside my crazy head.
I love it.
And that will unveil summer of 2025. So we'll have a whole lot of rollouts at all the different markets, going all through summer and fall of next year.
Wow.
I am very excited.
Wow.
And
Right.
it is they're the most incredible partners, and they have let me run wild with my imagination. And the crazier the things I come up with, the more they say, we love it, let's do it. So they have really let me just create some of my fantasies, and I'm getting to do that. So now you'll all get to participate in my fantasies when they are there.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's amazing. Great. We'll definitely keep an eye out
we'll
for
have
that.
you back for that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
I would
that's
love that.
gonna be fun.
It is
Yeah.
going to be fun.
You get to go to the workshop, I mean the factory. And
There are 60 factories that they work with around the world, and they're actually on the factory tour. They're leaving High Point right as I'm getting there this time.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm going to miss the team because they have to go to all the factories to make sure that my swing chair gets made right, and to, I mean, I'm working with all the factories remotely. They get to actually go there and be there and touch and feel. But I will say it has been, as a product designer, and this is not, I've had licensed collections over the years. This is really my first time having a whole universe collection where you get to see every part of my brain all in one space. It is so exciting to imagine a piece in my head, illustrate the piece, send it off to my partners at Global Views for approval, have them say, let's do it. They send it to the factories. And all of a sudden, we go back and forth, and then there is a physical piece that looks just like what was in my brain. It's the most magical feeling of creation, and I have been thrilled by this experience. It has
Yeah.
been truly magic. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that. So we'll definitely have you on when next summer for sure.
Would love that.
We'd love to have you back again. Thank you so much, and get some rest too.
Oh, I will sleep on the plane to
Eventually.
France.
But in the meantime, we have some lunch for you.
Ooh.
A French lunch.
A French lunch.
Ah, bien sûr.
Very. Merci.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you so much.
À bientôt. Au revoir.